300 local high school students learned about aviation through the Oklahoma Department of Aeronautics Southern Oklahoma Aero Days today.
News 12's Jory Vaughn spoke with students about what they learned.
Aviation students from 20 schools across Texoma learned about the history of aviation as well as career opportunities at the first ever Southern Oklahoma Aero Day.
At Ada High School, they put rockets together and were able to shoot the rockets off. They got to hear from the University of Oklahoma students that are in air traffic control to tell them what they could expect there. Third stop was at the Ada Regional Airport, where they looked at the commemorative aircraft from Vietnam.
Paula Keaty with the Oklahoma Department of Aeronautics says they're raising awareness for Oklahoma's second leading industry.
117 schools in Oklahoma. We're #1 in the nation in the number of schools teaching aviation, and we're thrilled about that.
Keaty says their goal is to connect schools with the curriculum and funding they need to get aviation programs off the ground across the state.
If 117 other Oklahoma schools, from our very smallest to our very largest, are doing it, any school can do it.
Where students from Kingston's new aviation program that kicked off this year were able to find their passion for flying.
It's given them a lot of opportunities to learn how to get into the career of aviation, like going for military, general, and commercial aviation.
Keaty says whether you're interested in soaring the sky or prefer to be grounded, aviation could be the career for you.
There are many, many, many opportunities. Nearly every job you can think of can be part of aerospace and aviation.
In Ada, Jory Vaughn, News 12.